All right, Rob, we are seeing ThreatLocker's new tool, Defense Against Configurations, or DAC. Show me what it does.
So, defense against configurations is something that's built into the ThreatLocker agent. It is on people's machine or people who use ThreatLocker's machines already. And what it's doing is it is performing a number. That number, I think, currently is about 110, but ultimately will be about 150 checks per day. Basically showing you and reporting back the impacted assets, what the things are that we've checked for. You can see here, so for example, remote desktop required encryption high or the host file not being protected. It shows you which assets are impacted. So obviously there's only one machine in this particular case, but it could be many machines. It explains the associated risks for the misconfiguration. So in this case, the host file not being write protected basically means that bad guys can change it and effectively redirect web traffic to locations they shouldn't be going to. So introduction gives you the risks associated and also gives you suggested resolutions. So the suggested resolutions sometimes will be ThreatLocker resolutions. So it, for example, in this case, it might be using a ThreatLocker storage control policy to block or restrict write access to that file. In some cases, it might be basically just doing it with OS level settings or restrictions. So the solutions are not always just ThreatLocker solutions. Very often they are other types of solutions, Windows solutions, group policy solutions, that kind of thing. We also map each of the findings against compliance standards. So as you can see, this host file being protected, it effectively maps against all of these different frameworks and standards. So like Cyber Essentials, for example, restrict permissions to prevent unauthorized host file modification, or write protect host files as part of system hardening. So it doesn't just tell you what the problem is, it also maps it back to different frameworks to say, hey, this is the framework associated with this misconfiguration and this is why you should fix it.
Is that what's determining what's a low, medium, high vulnerability? It's what essentially what the frameworks view it as?
To some extent, yes. I mean, to some extent, it's also a degree of common sense. So, like BitLocker not being enabled or encryption, disk encryption not being enabled, it's pretty self-evident that that's something that you would want to look at or you would want to sort out. There's certain things here which are probably less important, but I don't want to say it's all based on common sense because, I mean, obviously there is a bunch of different frameworks here and they don't all consider the same things equally serious or
Yeah, like
equally
I'm looking at the low ones. They look more like nuisances than anything else.
yeah, exactly. They're less likely, shall we say, to be the cause of a breach, but still something that you should probably know about, particularly if your intention or your wish is to, pass the CIS controls or to Cyber Essentials, or for Australian customers, Essential 8. You want to know which ones are related to the frameworks that you're working towards.
Excellent. All right. What else do you have to show us here? Anything else?
So you can see, you can see trends, which is quite useful. So you can see over time, is this situation getting better or worse? You would hope that the situation is going to get better because as you know about these things and have ways to fix these things, you will be effectively dealing with them. So you can see if it gets worse or better over time. You can also see obviously summaries, or how many are low, how many are moderate, how many are high, how many are critical. And you can see how many apply to the various frameworks as well. So obviously this is a relatively small number because I don't have a huge amount of Windows machines in my environment, but ultimately if there was a lot of machines, you would see much bigger numbers.
And would I assume I could get some kind of an audit trail out of this for my specific framework?
Yes, absolutely. The other thing I should mention is there will be, so what we're looking at here fundamentally is built into ThreatLocker currently. There's no additional charge. It's not a separate module. It's something that everybody who uses ThreatLocker gets for free. The ultimate intention is we will be building a compliance module for ThreatLocker where you can actually select, CMMC or Cyber Essentials or Essential 8 or FedRAMP and basically see everything mapped against just the framework that I'm interested in. So that's going to be an additional module coming soon.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Rob. If you would like to know more and learn how essentially you can keep an eye on your whole configuration system on Windows machines, Go check out what they're doing over at ThreatLocker, the web address. It's right there. ThreatLocker.com/CISO. Add the /CISO at the end. The reason you want to do that, let them know that you heard about them from us, the CISO series. ThreatLocker.com/CISO.